Everybody, welcome to the Sunday Morning Joe and Joe Weather Show. Brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware, Long Island's largest rock salt provider. They're getting ready for winter, so you should be getting ready as well. Not just rock salt, but mag ice melting pellets and flakes, Petalo premium snow and ice melt, and as well as biomelt, geomelt, spreaders, shovels, snow blowers, you name it, they got it at Omni True Value Hardware. So help them get ready for winter. Helping you to get ready for winter. 631-756-1125, 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, just north of the Southern State Parkway. OmniTrueValue.com is the website. So, in honor of the fact that it is Sunday, December the 6th, apparently it's National Wear Flannel Day, which is what Joe and I are both doing. I actually enjoy this time of year because of the flannel, because it's so comfortable. It breathes. It keeps you warm when it's cold. It lets you cool off if it's too warm. It's just the most comfortable. They're just so comfortable.
It is, and it looks very nice. I mean, the two of us.
You match your background perfectly.
Yeah, Actually, you're correct. Although with these talks that I've been giving, these library talks, people expect to see Joe Rayo, and so I have to get dressed up. I dress up in a suit
and tie.
Of course, I'm not wearing anything below the belt, but
naturally, blue is your signature. Right, blue is your signature color. I must say. Now, just really quick, I want to just thank everybody that has hit the like button on the live stream today. We really appreciate it. And if you like our live stream, take the time out to hit the like button. And also, is there anything else? Oh, yes, you do have a library talk tomorrow that you're doing virtually. So you might want to tell folks about it.
Unfortunately, will at least. I mean, you could still do the Joe show, if you care to. Unfortunately, Joe Square tomorrow will not happen because this library talk will be at 7:30, which conflicts with our regular proceedings, unfortunately.
Right. Well, this is you might want to invite some folks that are watching right now. Just give them a little info, the library name and the website that they might need to go to, and
it's the Mount Kisco Library in Mount Kisco, Westchester County, and I'll be giving. Anyone who's been on my Facebook page notices that I have been doing these talks at various libraries throughout the Hudson Valley. Although you don't have to be in the Hudson Valley to participate in this one. Happens to be in Mount Kisco tomorrow at 7:30 about the upcoming Geminid meteor shower. That's going to be 1 week from tonight, Joe.
Yes.
I've been looking at the long range models, and what seems to me, at least, is that there's going to be some kind of a cold front that's going to be moving through, probably by day's end next Sunday, but moving fast enough so that maybe, just maybe, skies will clear out by later Sunday night to allow for a view of the.
Well, you hope so, anyway.
We hope so, and it's still a week away, and a lot can happen. Either the front will speed up, which will be good for us who want to see something. If it slows down, we've got a problem for next week. So we'll have more to say, I'm sure, as the week progresses on that.
All right. We could redo a little recap of yesterday's storm. I don't know about you, but I actually had some mixing down here on the coast for a couple of hours. Anytime we got into any kind of intensity, we got some gloppy. I kept trying to think gloppy flakes hitting the windshield. So I don't know if you wound up seeing anything up your way.
We saw absolutely. The only thing I saw of interest yesterday was about midday or mid-afternoon when we had about 20 turkeys march through my backyard.
Yes, well, they feel safe now that Thanksgiving's done.
Exactly. And I actually did a video and I called out to them. And I guess whatever I said was maybe an expletive or an obscenity, because as soon as I did it, they all started scurrying in all directions. And believe it or not, a lot of people don't see this unless you live out in the sticks and see actual wild turkeys. Turkeys can fly,
Oh
and
yeah.
there were a couple of them that were high in flight
Hmm.
yesterday in the backyard. So that was about
When
the
when
only
we
thing that
had
just.
when it was back with all the trees down over the summer with was it that or was it one of the subsequent events? It might have been one of the severe weather events that we had. We had a tree down, uh, and the turkeys they roam the neighborhood here, so they feed from yard to yard. But they had to get past where the trees are, and it was a couple of hens with about 15 chicks, and they just sort of now the babies were big enough now at this point where they could actually fly, but the parent the females led the way, and then the chicks followed little by little, um, almost like two or three at a time, until finally the last one looked around and kind of said, "Oh, where did everybody go?" and then just sort of took off as well. Yeah, they're actually quite fun to watch.
Yeah, I saw. I think I may have told the story once before where I had two of them on my front lawn, male and a female. The female was just walking and was not interested in anything, and the male was about, I'd say, 5 or 8 feet behind her. And every so often, the male would stop and then open up its tail or its plume, I guess, to show off or to try to attract the female. But the female wasn't having anything of it and just kept walking. And that was I was hysterical at one point. I said, "Gee, it's in a way, it's almost like
It is
it's
like
not,
it's the
oh,
same. You know, if you watch enough
it
nature
is.
shows, you'll realize that it's the same.
Yes, very
Uh,
much,
it's the
very
same.
much.
And never mess with a tom with females because
No, they're nasty.
with a harem of females. No, yeah,
You don't want to get anywhere near those, but and they're big birds too. I've
hmm
seen around here. I've seen turkeys almost close to 4 feet high. They're
yeah,
almost like ostriches.
yes, indeed. All right, so you had no mixing. I had mixing, and this yesterday's storm was what happens when you don't have cold air and you rely on do-it-yourself cold air. In the areas where you have the heavy, intense precip, there's enough dynamic cooling that occurs in the atmosphere, and you wind up with accumulating snow. And you kind of see how it lined up here on the snow map, the total snowfall map for the last 24 hours, and there are on either side when you go into when you look at the profile of the precip on either side, either on the east side where the cold air never really got in there, but even on the west side where the ground temperatures were the same. And when Joe, one of the things that happened yesterday was when the intensity leveled off on this, many of the areas in Connecticut, for example, changed over back to rain before it ended, and so their temperatures rise up toward 40. So you have to maintain that precip intensity in order to get accumulating snows. Now they did wind up with some 8-inch plus snows in central Massachusetts, west of Worcester. I also saw a few amounts of 7 or 8 inches around Worcester. So I don't know. There was a lot of variability into northeastern Connecticut. Also, some areas that got several inches and a small little pocket that got 6 plus. But on the whole, in terms of the forecasts that were out Saturday morning, uh, Boston was going 12 to 18 for parts of central Massachusetts, and that wound up getting only about half that in the max areas. So I don't know if it's fair to say that the storm underperformed. I actually think the storm performed in line with what models were showing going into this. I think maybe some folks got a little more excited about the dynamics, but as I was pointing out yesterday morning when I did my weather in five, Joe, when you're surrounded by the incoming air is only in the 30s, that's not a lot to work with. If the incoming air from the up that northern stream trough that was swinging through that caused this storm to intensify, if the surface temperatures behind that as the trough went by, if the surface temperatures were in the teens or 20s, then it might have made it. Then the outcome I think might have been different. I think the snow amounts would have been higher. But with lacking that, it's hard to generate big snows with just moderate cold air and dynamics.
I kind of remember. I think it was 1981. talk about snow this early in the season. Of course, last year, Albany got clobbered with like 22 inches of snow, I think, on the 1st of December. But I seem to remember also Boston, I think it was around December 5th or 6th, getting clobbered by like an 18-inch snowfall. Uh, Again, a very early snow. And the thing I remember about that was, Joe, was that I was doing a few New England stations on radio at the time. And the day before, I said, don't worry about it. The storm is going to stay just out to sea, and we're going to dodge a big bullet. And what happened? I think it was on a Saturday that the storm hit, and it intensified to such a degree that it kind of recurved more to the left or to the west, and Boston and Providence got hit hard with like tremendous amounts of snow. So yesterday, it seemed like the very heavy snow was right along the Connecticut River Valley. That's where
Yes.
the major snows were. And Boston did get snow, but they missed out on what they may have received back, I think, again in 1981. Maybe somebody out there uh, knows what I'm talking about and has the actual date. I think it was December 4th and 5th of 81. So yeah, this early in the season, you can get some big snows. And case in point, what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, I just pulled up the snowfall accumulation map. New Hampshire. Also, we're probably about. I think it would be fair to say probably underperformed was in New Hampshire and Maine because the Maine numbers in the forecast weren't off the wall. They were amounts up to a foot. It did underperform by a lot, but it did underperform. I would say by about 30% because the darker you had New Hampshire kind of sets up funny here because southern New Hampshire around Concord and points northeast, getting about 6 to 8 inches. But then there's a hole in between that area and the second area that's further north up the state where there were some 8 to 12 and even a little isolated 18-inch amount. So that must be on the top of some mountain. And when we look in Maine, you're seeing again the general, I would say, underperformance to an extent. The heavy snow, oddly enough, uh, now there might be some additional numbers to add with what went on this morning. So this is only through 7 a.m. and there was still some stuff going on in eastern Maine. So there might be additional numbers to add to this overnight. But you had this band of 8 to 12 running up through the middle of the state. Coastal areas, not so much. Uh, just Portland, I think, was on the edge of about 2 inches, but once you go inland toward Auburn, Maine, it was sort of 6 to 8. Augusta was about 6 to 8, uh, and et cetera, et cetera. So you get the idea, folks. This is, and then of course, you look down to the south, and again, there was some mixing that occurred over Long Island and parts of southern Connecticut. Uh, but I really didn't hear much of anything with regard, maybe a little bit of mixing in parts of some of the northeastern counties of New Jersey, down into northern Monmouth County. I saw somebody say that they had a few flakes mixed in, but that was really about it. And here's by the way, here's the radar from yesterday. This was late in the afternoon yesterday as the precip pulls out. Now you see there's that intense area of precip from northeastern Mass down to Rhode Island. It's just north and west of that in the darker greens that you were getting that moderate to heavy snow, and then extending on up into Maine. If we, I'll give it a refresh here so we can take a look at what's happening now. So there's still some snow going on in in Maine at the moment. You see the rotation, so that is the slow-moving upper air system. We've got some showers now coming in to Louisiana and Mississippi. So this is uh, the next storm system coming out of the Gulf states that's going to pass by to our south on Monday. But I think it has a shot of bringing some snow for the mountains in western North Carolina and maybe also into western and southwestern and south central Virginia. Before that low moves out to the east, it will probably bring rain to the eastern parts of the Carolinas down into Georgia. That low goes out to our south, and there's nothing really to bring it up. And meanwhile, you look at the rest of the country, it's so quiet. And I think that is the theme for the week ahead, Joe. It's going to be a quiet week ahead.
Yes, very quiet. Not much happening at all. Of course, naturally, for the time frame next weekend, it looks like things will start acting up. And the next weekend will hinge, Joe, I think, on whether or not the northern and southern streams phase together. It looks like right now that there could be a possibly a significant storm by this time next weekend, moving through the Great Lakes. But again, from watching over recent days, again, it's all going to be dependent upon whether or not those two systems are going to be able to phase in, or whether or not they're going to go on their separate ways, as to whether or not it's going to amount to a hill of beans next weekend.
Right. The storm, by the way, on the latest surface map is sitting in that little nook of water between down East Maine and Nova Scotia, 977 low being analyzed at 7 a.m. this morning, and temperatures back through Maine in the upper 20s to around or just over 30. And
I believe they call that little nook the Bay of Fundy. Uh,
the Bay of Fundy,
yeah,
gotcha.
and we used to say when I used to do the weather for Yarmouth, Nova Scotia. Yes, I actually did the weather sometimes for some Canadian stations. When you had the wind blowing at just the right trajectory or the right direction across the Bay of Fundy, they actually got in Yarmouth and places across southernmost Nova Scotia snow showers and squalls. So we used to refer to them as Fundy flurries.
The
So
Fundy effect.
the Fundy effect, just like the lake effect, it was like the Fundy effect. We called it the Fundy effect. Yeah.
Correct. The gradient is still a little bit tight. I wouldn't call it windy, but it certainly is breezy out there, and it'll probably remain so until the low pulls away. Higher pressures, very weak high pressure in Michigan, and then of course you start to see this next low that is, that's analyzed. They actually have a low analyzed in Western Kentucky, but there's basically lower pressures across the Gulf states with that moisture being drawn northward. So again, this is our little system for tomorrow. Uh, it is, as I said, going to be a quiet, uneventful week. WPC, with regards to the rainfall over the next 7 days, taking a look at this, guess what? They got just about all of the Northeast, Joe, not a drop of rain through next Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Now they do have precip moving up through the Great Lakes, some heavier precip in the uh, lower Mississippi Valley back down into Texas, some 3/4 of an inch to inch and a half amounts, but nothing outstanding. Some precip in South Florida on the order of a couple of inches this week, and up in the Pacific Northwest. From Oregon, actually the northwestern corner of California, northward up into Washington State, you start to get into a couple of inches of rain, and then big rain amounts continue into southwest Canada as the moisture just the jet from the Pacific just continues to send weather systems up into that part of the world, and they've just been getting clobbered with heavy rains on the coast and heavy snows inland. I don't really see too much. I have the WPC snowfall probability, so let me just take the 72-hour shot here. I don't think there's going to be much snow going on in the U.S. Uh, certainly over the next 72 hours. And again, this is what's going on today in the east, in the northeast, in northern Maine. So I'm showing the probability of at least 2 inches. Again, this is ending Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. So very little, and they're also just showing a small area in the mountains of West Virginia, Western Virginia, down into the Carolinas. We're talking a 1 to 5% probability. The WPC folks probably had the better forecast. They were underplaying for the most part. They were kind of underplaying. It's very hard to catch every specific point, if not impossible. But in general, their probabilities for accumulating snow were not all that high, and I think they basically I would call it a home run with regards to their snowfall forecast. And you can see just a little bit of snow up in northernmost Washington, extending up into southern Canada, but that really is it.
Yeah, I'm really getting the impression. I mean, everybody in the world, or everybody surrounding the I-95 corridor, has seemed to have gotten some significant or even substantial snowfall. We're still in the New York area, sitting here and waiting for hours, as Ralph Crandon would say, "You're going to get yours."
Right.
I still maintain, Joe. I think that this is going to be the winter where the tri-state area will get clobbered in one big one major storm that'll dump like 10 or 12 or 10 or 15 inches. I think that's going to be the story for this upcoming winter season. And the most likely time frame would be what, late January or February for something like that to happen. But
Yeah, I
I don't
guess.
think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be like last year where we were sitting here and watching, chance after chance just go right on by, and long stretches when nothing was happening.
Well,
And
you couldn't even buy snow at the start or snow at the end
right,
along the coast. I mean, it was maybe it was a different story as you went further inland, but it was an absolute struggle. And none of this is very unusual because it is early. This is early December. You have to have a good pattern with some Arctic flow in order to get snow in early December. So
right.
that we're not getting that, and even if we go through the next couple of weeks not seeing much of anything, that would not really be that unusual. Um, if it winds up going toward the end of the month, then maybe you could start making a case for, well, this isn't looking very good. But for now, there's no long term conclusion that you can draw from this. I got the new GFS up, which has
Adam,
go ahead. I'm sorry, Joe.
Adam Lowe, by the way, points out U.S. snow cover is only at 11%, and we have to go back to 2012 when the cover was even lower, 7% at this time of the year. So it's a pattern, not just locally, but across much of the country that
Well, when he says 2012, is he talking about December of 2012?
I think
I
he's.
just want to be
I think
clear because the winter of 12-13 was we had the Snowmageddon storm in February, and that was the one big dump of the whole winter.
right. I think he's referring to at this particular point in the winter season, which of course we've only just begun.
Right.
Meteorological winter only began a few days ago, so don't judge the book by its cover, and don't judge an entire winter by just where we're at right now.
So for tomorrow, with this low coming out of the Gulf and moving off the southeast coast, you see the GFS generates a little bit of snow there south of Washington D.C. In maybe around Richmond and points west, and then a little leftover snow in the mountains. Excuse me, with the upper low as it swings on through, and of course the rain. Never really gets any further north in the southern part of the Delmarva Peninsula. We do get some rain there for central and South Georgia, much of South Carolina, and certainly for most of North Carolina, southeastern Virginia. The low moves out. The one thing this will do is it'll reinforce the northerly flow that is along the East Coast right into the middle part of the week. So I think that's going to keep things chilly through Wednesday. But then after that, we should start to see temperatures moderate a bit as we go into Thursday and Friday. And here comes your low, Joe, for the end of the week, developing in New Mexico and West Texas, and winds up riding through Kansas. You start to see an expanding area of snow up through parts of northern Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota. That low really just kind of occludes out there in northwestern Iowa. It doesn't go all the way through the Great Lakes, apparently, and then starts to shift eastward. And here's your cold front. Excuse me. It brings some showers here on Saturday. A little warm front going by, and then more showers. Hey, this one's even faster. This runs faster than prior runs, Joe. The front's already long through here. Sunday, late Saturday night, early Sunday morning.
Yeah, but
So
Joe, I know you haven't been looking at. I've been looking at this for many days now, and I realize, you know, I always preach never rely on models much beyond 8 or 10 days.
oh, I
But
agree. I certainly agree.
I've been looking at this, but I want to look at this now for 12 and 14 days out. And what the GFS, especially and all the other models, have been doing with this front is some models have been pushing it through here by Sunday morning or Saturday night, as we see here. Others have been slowing it down. Others haven't been bringing
Right.
it until Sunday night, Monday morning. So it's been wavering back. One thing we can say: there is going to be a cold front next weekend. There will be one that will be accompanied by clouds and some scattered showers. The main problem is the timing. How quickly is this going to move through? Now, this looks very optimistic. I know what you're talking about for those who want to get a view of the meteor shower on Sunday night, but I would not be at all surprised if on the 18Z or tonight 0Z
That it's
run,
slower. And
Take
a
it.
lot of times with the GFS, it likes to show fronts moving through here early in the morning, and they never do. They almost
Right.
always move through
Absolutely.
late in the day. So yeah, I mean, there's certainly a lot to go with this. As far as the upper air is concerned, this is the last in this series of systems that has been moving through the eastern part of the United States. We've had actually a fairly nice setup thanks to a negative North Atlantic oscillation. From the storm standpoint, the problem has been, of course, from the cold standpoint, and we still lack a true Arctic connection to allow some truly cold air to come down, that's not going to change much. So we're dealing with this polar air, which at the beginning of December doesn't really work very well. Now, if this was maybe the beginning of January, or certainly if we were deep in the winter with this type of pattern, it probably the magnitude of the cold air would have been greater, but nonetheless. This is going to relax a bit now as it pulls out, the trough pulls out to the east, and we get into a little bit of a ridge toward the end of the week, which sets up the next west to east moving system that moves pretty much straight across into the lakes, and then the trough starts to overwhelm in the east again as we move toward the middle of the month. So now we're at the 15th of December, and this is as far as the new GFS is taking us this morning. I just wanted very quickly to uh, wrap most of this up today because there's just really not a whole lot going on, uh, and Joe and I want to recover from the weekend and so on. But we've been watching the evolution of the polar vortex. I did see Larry Cosgrove. We had him on as a guest not too many weeks ago, talking about the polar vortex. And I did notice, over the last several runs, it's the same trend continues. We see the upper low in the stratosphere migrating toward Greenland, and actually a fairly sharp-looking trough at that level that extends north to south. Now, whether it holds like this in the long term is a question. Also, I think what's probably more important, and the GFS in the stratosphere has actually been pretty good over the last couple of weeks in general. But let's keep an eye on. You see these darker areas of brown, particularly this one that's rolling through Asia over the next couple of weeks. That might be signaling a stratospheric warming event, and it's actually pretty impressive looking here from the overnight runs. This is dated for December 21st, so toward the end of the month. If that attack works, maybe that'll be enough to weaken the polar vortex and have an impact on the weather as we get into January. What happens up here, assuming it couples down to the surface, which sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. If you look at this, you give it about a couple of weeks. It usually takes time for all of this to work through the atmosphere. But again, we're sort of in this mode where we're just kind of watching things. There's nothing. We're watching things and watching for weather patterns to evolve, adjust, and change, and that takes time. That just takes time to occur. So we're going to get a breather this week.
Yes, it's going to be a nice stretch of nice, quiet weather, and then we'll see what happens for next weekend. Now, you said that we need to, you wanted to make this quick. However,
Well, not quick. I mean, the weather part of it is done.
we do have Briller Jeopardy,
Yes, we do, and I've got
and
sauce on the stove too.
and we have a special guest for Briller Jeopardy. I don't know if my wife is listening. She has the Briller Jeopardy cooking questions for Mr. Chiappi, and I guess she'll be getting down here
Momentarily.
momentarily. Yes,
Before she arrives, let me just thank everybody who's hit the like button on the show today. We really appreciate it. If you haven't hit the like button, please do if you like the show. And don't forget, Joe's got his library talk tomorrow at the Mount Kisco Library. Can folks just go to that website and register if they want to be
yes.
part of
If
it?
you go to the Mount Kisco website, Mount Kisco Library website, and I guess go to events. That's how most of the libraries have been doing this. Is you go to the events and you'll read all about what the talk is about, and they have the web link, so you can click on that and get right
Actually,
into.
I'm finding the web link here, so just a second. We'll put it up on the chat board for everybody to take advantage of.
You
This
can
is, by the
also,
way, just so everybody knows, this is being zoomed tomorrow,
right.
so you can you'll be able to watch it on Zoom video. I'm
I had a
producing it, so I will be sending out. I won't be saying anything. I'm just gonna I'll help Joe with the Zoom part of it. I just saw your face here. Let's see. For adults, I'm just finding, where do they have? I'm looking for program links here.
uh, let me see. I'll have to go. I'll have to do this myself too. Um, this is a rather odd line.
Is this
I don't.
MKPL,
Yeah,
MountKiscoLibrary.org?
yeah, yeah.
I'm just
Um,
trying to see where they have programs here. A link for
it's
programs.
weird. They're not like the other libraries. They don't have apparently a link. How about this? How about if we? How about if I just go to Google, Mount Kisco
Oh,
Library, and I
there
just.
you are. Hold on, I just found it.
Oh,
Um, They have it, but they don't have they had your picture up there, but they have a link. You have to email the library. So you know what? I'm just going to put the library link up there. You have to email the library, and they'll send you the Zoom links to it. So I'm going to just I'll put the library link on the chat board right now. And Rayo's
there it is.
Joe Rayo's talk. And there's your link to the Mount Kisco library. You have to email them, and then they can make arrangements for you to get the Zoom links and everything else.
Whatever.
So we're good. Okay. So where is
Um,
Madame
it's time.
Rayo?
It's time that we switch chairs here and switch places. So here she comes now. By
Hello,
acclamation.
Mrs. Rayo. How are you,
Hello,
dear?
hello. I'm just fine. Happy Sunday to everybody.
Happy Sunday. I'm doing the Italian thing right now. I'm making sauce upstairs. And
Uh-huh.
I know, but just real quick, people get into this argument about whether it's called sauce or whether it's called gravy. Actually, in my house, being that I am first generation Italian and barely born here in the U.S. of A. It was I was surrounded by Italian speaking parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles. It actually was never called either sauce or gravy. It was called either salsa well, it was called salsa. You wouldn't make the A, but it's spelt the same way. Or it was called ragu, which is not to be confused with the unmentionable product that you can buy at the grocery store.
Hmm.
But ragu is Italian for tomato sauce that has meat in it, and that's actually what I'm making upstairs is ragu.
And of course, that recipe is can be found online. I'm sure you're showing
Well, I
everybody.
haven't. One of the things about it is, and I'm going to, I keep saying I'm going to put my do my sauce one day on on a YouTube video like I did the Thanksgiving
Hmm.
turkeys. The problem is there's so many things that you're doing that you have to have. I have to get somebody to actually hold the camera. Usually I do it where I'm just kind of holding the camera myself, but it's actually fairly simple uh,
Hmm.
to make sauce. If you've got olive oil, garlic, that's the start. Peeled tomatoes, tomato puree, and a little bit of tomato paste if you need to thicken it up. And then it's a matter of what kind of meats you want to put into it. I put beef, pork, and lamb in mine. So
That's a complicated recipe. Yeah. All
yeah,
these.
you know what it is. You're doing a lot of things at the same time because you got to. I sear the meat on in a cast iron skillet before I put it in the sauce into the pot. Um, I put olive oil at the bottom of the pot with a little bit of garlic. So yeah, it requires somebody else to hold the camera because I'm working with big items here. Anyway,
Okay.
I just wanted to clear that up because apparently that's always a scandal on Facebook and other social media sites.
People will pick on anything
That's
these
correct.
days. I came from a German household. We didn't have that much in the way of Italian food growing up. We had a lot of soups
Hmm.
and stews and very very traditional American dinners.
And I had I grew up with traditional Italian dinners every day, so it was
Yeah, it
good.
depends on your background, right?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
So
good food, definitely.
roll with the questions.
Okay, here
I'm
we
ready for
go.
you.
Yeah, Brill or Jeopardy. These aren't that tough this time around.
Okay.
Okay, what was the entree in the very first TV dinner?
I'm going to say Salisbury steak.
Yeah, see, I thought so too, but the answer is turkey.
Turkey?
I'm supposed to give him a list, but
Yeah.
the list had fried chicken, turkey, Salisbury steak, or meatloaf. And
I would have probably well, now that you mentioned meatloaf, I would have maybe leaned toward in that direction.
yeah,
But all of those choices are plausible.
right. Those are the most popular choices in TV dinners nowadays.
Hmm.
Okay, anyway, here's the next question. Joe, you can answer this one too. What type of pickle is in a Big Mac?
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh, just take a wild guess.
You know what? I never really, honestly, I never really paid attention to the type of pickles.
Lettuce, cheese, pickles, onion on it,
Sesame seed bun. Yeah, I never really paid. I mean, I like pickles, but I never really pay attention to, the types of pickles that they are.
Okay, well, the answer is the most popular dill pickle.
A dill. Okay.
A
A
dill.
dill. Yes.
Okay, and the next question. Kugel is a traditional Jewish dish containing noodles. Is it a soup, a pudding, or a vegetable?
I'm sorry. Kugel.
Kugel,
And is it a soup, a vegetable, or what was the other choice?
pudding.
I'll say pudding.
Correct.
Okay.
I can't
I
believe
think
that
I
was
had it once. It's familiar to me.
sure. I'm sure. Okay, which is a freshwater fish? Now, this is in your backyard or the local ocean. Perch, tuna, or flounder?
Perch.
Correct. What is the most consumed cheese in the world? Swiss, mozzarella, or American?
Well, we could get into an argument over whether American cheese is technically really cheese because it has less of a. There's a apparently the National Cheese Board requires that cheese contain a certain percentage
Yes.
of milk, and American cheese technically does not have that percentage
Yeah.
minimum a
Yeah.
requirement, but there are others who argue differently. I'm going to say I'll say well, I mean I'll say Swiss.
No, it's
It is
mozzarella.
mozzarella, really?
Most consumed cheese in the world. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, here's the next one. Fugaz or fugazi is a type of soup, bread, or pasta.
Say it again.
Fugazi is a type
Fugazi? How do you spell it?
Fougasse.
That's not Fugazi. That's Fugazi. That's a
That's a
Cadillac.
Cadillac. And what were my choices?
Your choices are soup, bread, or pasta.
Fugazi. I'll say I'm not familiar with that, so I'll say bread.
Yes, that's correct.
All
It is
right.
a type of bread. French. Scorpion soup
Ew.
is a delicacy in
Ew.
Thailand, Vietnam, or China.
Scorpion soup?
Scorpion soup.
I'll say Vietnam.
No. Come on, where do they eat the most weird things?
Thailand?
China.
China? Well, they all, their food,
Yeah.
their food selections are a bit different than than the Western food selections. I will give you that. I didn't realize that scorpions were high on the menu. But
It's a delicacy, apparently.
yes,
Okay, next question is interesting. Apples contain what percentage water? 25%, 45, 65, or 85%?
I'm going to go with the higher numbers, so I will say 65.
85%.
Oh, okay, so I was in the right direction.
Yep, it's mostly water.
People don't realize,
Okay.
by the way, how many different kinds of apples there are.
Oh, tons of different. I mean, that's why they have to have all these little tiny labels on every single one of the apples in the store
Yeah,
because
and
they look
Honey Crisp is a great apple for apple pie. And what are the other ones?
Gala is
The
also
Gala.
very similar.
Yeah, I find the best apple pies are if you take a variety of apples
Right.
and make your pie that way.
Slice it really thin
Right.
and mix it all up. Yes, I agree. I agree. Okay, we do have a bonus question now.
Okay.
It's worth 24 inches of snow in the front of your house on your driveway and sidewalk.
Okay.
Ready? What is the only food that will never rot?
The only food that never rots?
That will never rot.
And that's
I just read.
that's beside not including a McDonald's French fry apparently.
Trixie's potato salad.
What's that?
Trixie's potato salad.
I'm sorry, whose potato salad?
Trixie.
Trixie's
potato.
Yes, Trixie's potato salad. The only food that will never rot? I've never heard about this.
Yeah, only
Animal, vegetable? A hint?
This falls under.
I mean, besides chewing gum?
No, I think that will eventually disappear.
All right, let me ask you: is it an ingredient that I have used?
Oh, I'm sure.
Joe,
I'm sure you've had it in
right.
your life.
I'll give you a hint, Joe. I'm in love with you,
honey. Say you love me too. Oh no, not that, honey.
Yeah, they've actually found honey in containers or pots, I believe, in Egyptian
the pyramids
walls.
in
Yeah,
tombs.
and it's quite edible.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah,
that is good to know. I never knew that. Honey does not spoil.
Chuck guessed maple syrup. Well, he was close.
Yeah.
Guess nobody has ever really tested that one because, maple syrup doesn't last long, especially around our house.
Yeah. Well, that was good. And he's made me actually extra hungry, and I have to go stir my sauce.
Okay, I'm going to switch seats again.
Okay, very good.
All righty. And you guys can wrap it up.
Okay, thanks, Renata. Have a good day. Also, let me just really quick acknowledge Shraggy Stern and Scott Briller hitting super chat today. Thank you, thanks to both of you for doing that, and thanks to the 45 likes that we got on the show today, which is a big
Scott
plus.
also says Scott says volume 3 coming soon, so I guess we're going to have another round of cooking segment. This might be a regular segment here.
Well, it's good to have it on a Sunday. Just change it up a little bit.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, so let's call it a day. You have a good one. All right, so tomorrow, your library talk is at 7:30, and yeah, we'll probably, since it's quiet, let's not. We'll take off tomorrow night because Joe's got to do his library thing, and I'm going to be around for that. So no, we won't do a show tomorrow, and we'll just wait till Tuesday. Okay.
Fine with me.
Got that, folks? No show tomorrow. We'll do it Tuesday. Check out Joe's library talk. What I will do is, well, I'll try to do this. I'll record it on my end, and if I don't make any kind of big errors, we can put the show up on YouTube after the fact.
Lovely.
Okay. All right. Very good. So we'll see you tomorrow, Joe. Folks, we'll see you on Tuesday. So have a great Sunday, and thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.